Hello, I just bought this little set here it came in the post today, and obviously the more tried and tested and alternative, I suppose, the ones that we've been using previously, is the 58 pattern cup and bottle, made by BCB in Wales, and it's just really to do that. I mean, what I saw is this one as being a viable replacement really for what we've got here. So yeah, I mean, I suppose really to start with this one, it's very heavy gauge steel. I mean, that is a weighty cup, and obviously that is a PU sort of bottle of some description, fits in there snugly, and a lid on a lanyard, which is a sort of plastic lanyard attached to the back, and that's also known, like I say, as the Crusader cup and bottle. And the Pathfinder cup and bottle set, also including the pot hanger and the Pathfinder stove. And what I've done is just tried these out using hexamine, really, which is just like a little blocks of solid fuel, that kind of thing, today, just to sort of see how it all goes. And I honestly think, I mean, it's going to be a pretty good alternative to this, really. There's a few good things about this, a few bad things. Good things, really, very much with this, and probably best to start out with the reason why I bought it in the first place is I thought that, unlike the Crusader one, what we've got really is I suppose another way of boiling water, because you can't boil water obviously in the PU one, and this is made out of solid steel. It's not been treated on the inside or anything like that. And also in this, so what you're doing effectively is allowing yourself to have 2.5 times as much water purification by having this. So I mean, for example, what you would do, and what I did when I tested this, I mean, this is how well this came up at the bottom. Look, I don't know if you can even. No, I mean, yeah, there's little. I mean, you can barely see where I've boiled it, because I mean the hexamine comes off so cleanly, which is great. Stainless steel is brilliant for that kind of thing. It's very easy to clean. So what I've been doing is, hold on a second, just getting, so I've got a pebble there, they can bolt squad, the bits of hexamine still left on it there, just so drop that in there, and just sort of put the Pathfinder stove obviously around it as well, drop a hexamine block there, that's about 15-20 minutes burn time and something like that, and just sort of light it up, and then basically, I mean, obviously that's not lit at the moment because I'm in my kitchen, I'll get shot, things like that. Then set that down on there, which sort of that fits pretty well. So that, I mean, that works pretty good, and obviously you can see some good clearance in there between there to give you sort of a bit of clearance between so the flames can come up. The bottle, the pot hanger, I love the design of this thing. Apparently it's designed to get fishes' hooks out of their mouths, but you can see it unclips like that and then goes around to the other side like that, and so it doesn't meet and sort of just goes out. So the way that will fit is just inside the bottle like that, and that's quite secure. And so whilst you've got that hanging there, purifying water, cooking your dinner, you can be purifying water or cooking your dinner hanging over a fire with this thing. So brilliant design. It's a great idea. Well, what you do basically is, rather than passing it that side, pass it back the other way, and it just snips into place like that, which is, you know, it's very clever. I mean, it's very clever use of just something that wasn't designed to do that in the first place. Very chunky, solid lid. I mean, in terms of weight of these two things, I suppose, in terms of comparison, you've got a bottle weighing about 180, because that's the PU one, as I say, but about 300 grams on the cup. So quite literally, the cup on the this set here, he said, knocking it flying. That's the Crusader cup VCP one there, even though those are almost exactly the same size in terms of capacity, and I have measured them, they're not far off exactly the same. In fact, this one is slightly bigger in terms of capacity than this one. This weighs this particular one weighs 2.5 times as much as this, even though they're both made of stainless steel. It really is incredible. This thing it's very solid. The handles are very solid when they're on like that. As you can see, there's no rattle or anything like that, no movement when they interlock. That said, it's massively over-engineered. It doesn't need to be as thick or as heavy as it is. I mean, it's always been about double the weight it should be. So that's a big plus point for this one. It's much lighter. That said, the handles on it, are pretty crap. I mean, they don't feel anywhere near as substantial. There's a guy that does a mod on it where he just sort of fixes a notch just down the bottom of here, so that and tightens up the spring on these by squeezing the handles together. And what that achieves basically is the whole thing sort of clips together a bit better. But I mean, at the moment, as you can see, not that this is a massive problem, but they just aren't very well thought out. They don't fit particularly well like that. As I say, weight wise, you've got 300 grams approximately and 180 grams, making a total of 480 grams or thereabouts for that particular. I'm sorry, 300, yeah, 480 grams or thereabouts for that particular set. This one is less, and it's made of steel, and obviously, as part of that, you're getting this little burner ring, which is worth having. You know, it's. I mean, to talk specifically about the burner ring, it's $7, which is obviously about £4. It's not exactly a king's ransom. It's got some sharp edges. Not particularly pleased with the finish in that kind of way. It seems like it's going to bear up. It's a very solid item. It's useful, you know. I mean, just as if you've got a bed of embers and you just drop that in there, drop your bottle on top, and just let it boil away on there. Fantastic. Or the cup, you know, great. It's a nice little thing, and also it nests. So that, as you can see, I just push down on that, and it slots into the bottom of the cup. Sorry, it slots into the bottom of the bottle, and then what I do, obviously, just take that and push it down in there, and you've got the whole thing nesting in itself there. So there you go. That's how it nests, and obviously from that doesn't move at all now, so that's not going to fall out. As you can see, they're flapping about all over the place. The problem with that, I think, is going to be mainly, and as you can see, there's only ever used it a couple of times, once in the bottle, once on the cup. I'm trying to do this one-handed. There's going to be a problem to some extent, because the first thing I was worried about is that's going to scuff the outside of your bottle up, which is not the end of the world, because obviously you can have it in and out of a fire anyway, so it's not exactly going to be it's not. I'm not being precious about it or anything, but it'll also scratch the inside of your cup, which is a bit more of a problem because you'll be cooking with that. Also, it's going to deposit fire dirt from the outside of the stove into your cup, so you're going to have to wash that each time before you do it. So another thing that just hasn't been that well thought out in terms of this bottle. I mean, what would have been better really is if you could have got. Here we go, wedged it. So that's not a problem with it being wedged, it's just, like I say, it's because I'm doing it with one hand. But what would have been a better design, and this is obviously, you know, I don't design these things for a living, I've just bought this one, but I mean, if you slot that in there like that, you've got the stove at the top, and you've got that's sort of with nothing inside there. Problem is, that doesn't nest at all anymore. You've got a good sort of, a big gap down the side that the whole thing just rattles and falls out. So again, there's a couple of items there which are not fantastic in terms of the design of this, but I'm very pleased with it. In all, I'm sorry, I sound like I'm moaning, but I'm not. I mean, it's a really good item. So I would say to run through. I mean, what I've done is quite anally weighed everything. Just one second, let me just get my thing. There we go. So I've written it all down. The cup, I mean, I weighed these in a little scales I've got. The actual cup itself on this one weighs 134 grams. I mean, that's fantastic. That is like not far off. I think that's something like 115 grams. Now, I mean, that is titanium, MSR Titan titanium kettle. If you remove the lid from that weighs something like 115 grams. So that's only 20 grams heavier than that. That's titanium. That's like 60 or 60 pounds to buy something like that, maybe $100. So that's given that is a small, that they've sort of it feels strong. It's not going to, you're not going to crush that, and it's very good. I mean, weight wise, it's fantastic. It means that you can just slip it in your pack even if you're on a day walk and you've got sort of all that extra ways of purifying water. The bottle weighs 180 on its own. That's without the cap, and that's without the stove attached. So I would be, I can't get that off at the moment. I just need two hands. I should stop trying to do that. So you've got 135, 180. The little clip hanger thing is about 38 grams or thereabouts, so an ounce and a little bit. And you've got the lid here. The stove, the Pathfinder stove on the bottom there, that little ring there, that weighs 51 grams. So about an ounce and 2/3, it's not too much to be carrying around. It doesn't add a lot in weight to everything. What surprised me really is this thing, the lid with the big metal thing inside. A little over-engineered, but nice. I mean, it's very, very solid. It's really going to bear up. It's really going to help. That's 55 grams in weight, so sort of almost 2 ounces. That thing weighs, in fact, almost exactly 2 ounces. That's heavy, really, for a cap on something. But it's nice to have that big wide mouth sort of access on there. But that's absolutely great. Yeah, I mean, I would say the benefits of this massively outweigh its flaws, apart from anything else. I mean, it's got I suppose the main benefit for this one, I would say, is it is, so I mean, all in all, I suppose what I'm saying is this one is it's lighter, even with the extra sort of bits and bobs that you can use with it, like these things. Not much. I mean, in fact, it's hardly even worth mentioning the difference. It's very, very small. I think this is around the 450 gram altogether mark, and this is around, as I say, the sort of 470, 480. So an ounce difference in weight between that and that, but you get all these extra options with this one as well, and the larger bottle with the wide mouth. So on paper, at least, this looks much better. I would say in terms of toughness, that mug is very much less tough than this one. Like I say, that you do, just to mention, when that's all folded away, you know, even though that's a tried and tested piece of kit, right from when I had it, I think that that happened. Like I said, the bales just flap around like that. So they both do that to some extent. It's just that these bales don't interlock at all, well, particularly well. So they just flap around even when you're trying to boil something. So yeah, I mean, this, if anything, is more watertight as far as I can see than this as well. It's also got a much more usable wide mouth on the top. I mean, all in all, I measured the capacity of these. These are what they call a quart bottle, so it's about 1100 and something millilitres. This is billed as being, I can't remember what it is, like a 32 ounce bottle, I think they said it was. It isn't. I mean, it's like all water bottles usually. They underread, apart from, weirdly, those SIG bottles. I mean, for example, that Stanley bottle, that's called a 1.95 litre, so apparently that is the same capacity as that, even though, you know, you can see it's a bit bigger, but actually they both hold roughly the same, which is about 1150. So the Pathfinder bottle actually holds around about 1150 millilitres, which is, I don't know why they advertise that at 950, because the way that these things are threaded on the inside as well, unlike something like a SIG bottle like that, is as you can see, rather than a SIG cap, which is threaded inside like that, so it's got effectively a plug which drops in and then is sort of turned in. That's the sort of the cap that goes in there. This one is actually threaded around the inside of the cap rather than to go around the outside of the bottle, so and fit over, so you don't actually displace any water inside, so you can fill that right the way up to the top if you particularly want to. And like I say, right the way up to the top is around the 1200 millilitre mark, so it's 1.2 litres. That's a big bottle. So I mean, that's another bonus really. I mean, they both hold large amounts of water, so quite similar, but if anything, this one holds just a little bit more. So that's it really. I think that really the Pathfinder set that we've got, and I'll just show you it all sort of put back together again, is very much a step in the right direction. I mean, I think really it's probably a better replacement. I mean, you don't get this slightly hip formed sort of ergonomic shape that you get with that one, so it's not sort of formed to fit into your hip. But then again, it doesn't really need to be. I mean, this would be, for me anyway, an extra item that I would be carrying to some extent than water supply. I'd already be carrying the water supply. Sorry, I'd already be carrying something like a lightweight bottle, like something like a platypus, as well as this. So I would, you know, I'd already have that. So that's it basically. Yeah. Cheers.